that is accenting itself the importance of how and who, from whom we hear this knowledge. Prabhupada said that actually there's like 700 or 800 translated versions of Bhagavad Gita. Why 700 or 800? Because a lot of them are written by people that say, I think that this is what this means. Or, in my opinion, this is what Krishna is saying. Prabhupada says, what do you mean? Do you have an opinion about what Krishna is saying? Krishna is saying so that you can learn. It's not so that you can have an opinion about what Krishna really means. I know what God really means. Let me tell you. So, every Muni, he's like that, right? Every sage, he must create a whole new philosophy that's different from everybody else's, and that's something that he came up with, and so they always have to speculate and concoct and kind of mess with everything. And this is the problem. We should be very careful to hear. Prabhupada said one time that what is a real guru is one who doesn't change anything, one who doesn't have this mental speculation, this material sentiment of having a feeling about what this spirituality really is. He says Krishna's words are good enough. They're telling us, he's telling us how things are, how it is. And then we still want to mix it up and try to, say something else. Srila Prabhupada's works are enunciated in one book called Krishna Consciousness, the Topmost Yoga System. And I just wanted to read a little bit from that because this one portion is very clear. It says, the same personality of Godhead personally spoke about himself to Arjuna in the Gita. How can you say that someone, by his thinking, by his speculation, can say something about God that's more important than what's being said by Krishna himself? It's not possible. No one can speak better than Krishna about God because God himself is speaking. If you speak about yourself personally, who can say more than you? Of course, you could tell some big lies if you wanted to. But so, if you have faith, if you believe theoretically or practically in Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then by the speeches that are delivered by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, you can understand God. There's no difficulty. And if you believe Krishna, then the result will be that you can understand God, how he's working, how his energy is interacting, how he's manifesting. What is this material world? What is the spiritual world? What are the living creatures? What is their relationship? So many things are there to be found in God's literature. So he's saying that the whole Vedic literature deals with these three things. Sometimes they're related as Sambandha Gyan, Avideya Gyan, and Prayogo. And what Sambandha is the basic acceptance that there is God, yes. I'm accepting there is God. And Avideya is how to learn about that relationship that you have with God, and then how to apply it. You must be in that experience. You must be purified before then you are actually even starting to have this experience of bhava, or love, eventually culminating in prema bhakti, or pure love of God. It's not a cheap thing. And for some people, they may, roll on the ground or cry or do all these things that may seem like they're having this big experience, but it's mostly a charlatan activity. A real devotee who's having this experience doesn't really like to exhibit that he's having this experience. Srila Prabhupada I mean, if you couldn't tell that he was already immersed in Krishna consciousness, and even some people asked him, so Prabhupada, do you see Krishna? Like, just checking with him, like you're talking so much about him, do you actually see Krishna? And Prabhupada gave a couple of different answers at different times. One was, if I told you, would you believe me? So, first of all, would it really make an impression on you? And then another time he answered that, he says, yes, there is no time when I do not see Krishna, when I am not with him. So, Prabhupada goes on to say that once they understand their relationship with God, people generally believe that God's the Father, and the Son's business is to ask the Father for whatever he needs. But that is really a lesser relationship. If you understand God perfectly, then there are intimate relationships also. Your intimate relationship will be revealed when you are perfectly liberated. Means when you are through with material desires, when you're through with fruit of activity, the desire for profit and gain. Anya vilasita punya, yana karmarya navritam, anapo yena krishnanam, shiranam akiyutama. That this pure devotional service comes when I'm done with trying to approach God through just knowledge, speculative knowledge, or through karma, through some type of activity, and when I'm just totally unmotivated for profit or gain, and I'm just ready to give myself to his experience, to trust in whatever him or his representative is telling me. We've got quite a large contingency across the way there. At least you can see them through the windows and monitor them. So, when that relationship is revealed in the process of devotional activities or Krishna consciousness, you will know that that is the perfection of your life. Krishna consciousness is a great science. This is one thing Prabhupada knew is on the top of most people's minds. They think that scientists are actually God in this age. Just look at any newspaper. There'll be an article that says, top scientists now say that this and this and this and this is true. And you look at the same newspaper 3 months later, it'll say, oh, top scientists now say that there is something new that said that what they said 3 months earlier was not right, but now this other thing is right. But people never realize that they're just changing from one thing to another all the time, constantly. But all the time we're thinking, oh, all you got to do is say top scientists and they must be right. But if you mention God, they say, there is no God. But there's top scientists. So Prabhupada, in his wisdom and in the actual practical matter of things, he delivered this Krishna consciousness as the science of love of God. And that got some people's attention. So it doesn't have to be a sentimental kind of worship thing, it can actually be a practical science thing, And this is actually beneficial because science means what? It means something you can take and experiment it with yourself. You take these different ingredients that they tell you to use for the experiment. Prabhupada says take the holy name, take the Bhagavad Gita, take these things, experiment with them, do them daily. See if there's not a change inside your heart. It's something that can be experienced tangibly and practically. And therefore, one who is just looking for some kind of feeling of, oh, sometimes we do kirtan in these different kirtan halls. And when you're around devotees and they're chanting kirtan, they might be either playing instruments or just, singing. But if you go to some of these yoga clubs And most of these yoga clubs, everybody's in these fancy spandex suits and everything, and they have like these pretty colored pillows they sit on and everything, and they're all doing all these asanas and everything, but you ask them about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is what yoga means. Yoga means remembering, linking, connecting with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I remember trying to explain to someone at one fair, these are books on yoga. And this woman said, you don't have to tell me, I'm a yoga instructor. I said, oh, excuse me, you know, it's like, I'd offended her because, you know, I was going to try to talk about yoga. What is the ultimate? I asked her, well, what does yoga actually ultimately mean? And she goes, I didn't come here to be lectured. Okay, you know, so there are some people that even in the field of yoga now that are not interested in what yoga is. And anyway, sometimes we are invited to go to, now it's very popular, people have heard about kirtan and mantra chanting, and so now it's a big fashion. But it's good because at least we can get into these places and we can sing.